But okay, so again, with the influx of immigration, um, it's there. There's no hiding it. Now, granted, I agree with you. The right flub in the numbers for sure. There's no way. Again, I told you I heard 20 million, and I've heard like on the higher end it was like 30 million. I'm like, I don't know.
10% of the
I like
population?
like
Yeesh.
I can buy, you know what I mean? Like, now granted, it takes a lot of money. I could buy 20, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
even then I'm like, I'm more of a 15 kind of guy. But
Yes.
that's neither here nor there. Now, with immigration itself, uh, family of immigrants, I've got no problem with legal immigration. There's that. But when it comes to immigration itself, especially on larger scales, it has an effect of displacing the workers for sure. There's no way around that because people are coming in buying jobs. I know you're in favor of cheap labor. I'm in favor of cheap labor. I like cheap stuff for sure, no doubt about it. But I would prefer if our what's it called, if our unemployment was lower before we start.
Mhm.
Now, granted, I'm not saying let 10 million in or 5 million in, every 2 years, but I would prefer if the unemployment was lower. Let's see. What else I got here?
Well, I
Also,
mean, this feels
mm-hmm,
like a. I was gonna say this feels like there's like a term for it. I think it's like the lump labor fallacy, where it's like, yeah, but if you bring in a ton of people, then all of a sudden they'll take all the jobs. And it's like, yeah, but they need to consume something.
yeah,
Like
mm-hmm,
every new immigrant brings in like supply and demand, which is why illegal immigration is so bad. It's because they can get paid under the table, which means that they can get artificially ultra low wages. I want more Americans in the country. I'm happy to make plenty more Americans,
yeah,
but I also want to give them the same. I don't want I want cheap labor, like some form of like cheap labor, people who are willing to do like picking strawberries and stuff. Um, but also I'm a big workers' protections guy. I like when American workers are protected. I think we're a very special and like capable set of people. Um, and eh, when people are like, when people are like, well, I don't, I don't think that I don't want them like taking jobs from like domestic people. It's like, well, one, I would want them to be like, I want them to be domesticated because I want you to have to like compete with them in a fair market. The reason it feels unfair to me, at least in my some summary, is like, sure, you're right. They're more willing to do like the strawberry picking stuff, but also I want American companies to want to be wealthy enough to where they can bring in people from like Latin America and pay them whatever XYZ federally regulated minimum wage is, and then like be wealthy enough to like afford that. Um, to do jobs that like frankly a lot of Americans don't want to do. Like I'm not to like harp on the old argument. I think there's lots of jobs that Americans would do that have been exported, but additionally, it's like if they're willing to do it, I want them to do it legally because I don't want Americans to have to compete with artificially fake low wages, right? I don't want some guy getting paid $2 an hour artificially to like pick strawberries because he can't because his employer is threatening to go, Jose, if you don't do this for this amount, I'm going to report you to the government. I don't want employers to be able to hold that over their employees, but what I do want is I want fair competition for Americans.
yeah,
So I don't know.
absolutely,
It's
and
it's a little bit of like a double-edged sword of like I want them to be naturalized, so that way the competition is fair. Because as long as they're illegal, the competition isn't fair. Because I
yeah,
want to get rid
that's
of
a
the
good way of
people who
putting it.
are causing problems, which are the criminals and whatnot. I have no problem deporting criminals who snuck across the border. But I would want to naturalize even a lot of the ones that came across, like with the amnesty loophole, which is it's like a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. It's like a different thing, which is why legally it's a lot harder to track them down. Like skipping your court date, it's a different kind of crime. You haven't technically illegally immigrated. You've just missed your court date. Um, and I want to hire more judges, track those people down, be like, hey, you have one shot at a new court date. Here's your thing. We have a whole bunch of new judges. It's in a week. Show up. And then you get amnesty, you work on being naturalized as a citizen, and then, oh no, what's wrong? You can't pay Jose $2 anymore, so you might need to hire, Thomas or, Jared. Well, that's just the market, buddy.
Yeah,
Like that's sort of the position that I want. I don't want people
hmm,
to have to compete for artificially low wages, and I don't like um, that people who are doing that are ruining it for everyone. It feels
yeah,
IMO
absolutely, and
IMO.
I mean, I've brought this up, and I brought this up many times with the whole like immigration thing. Like, I know, the right's always like, oh, if we let in the illegal immigrants, our wages are going to go down, and it's like, no, historically, wages don't go down. Now, granted, when I say historically, I mean like the past 100 years. Like they don't go down, but they do increase at a slower rate because supply and demand. There's a lot more supply than demand, so you don't have to. You know what I mean? As opposed to like workers being like,
Hmm.
"Oh, I want you. I'm willing to pay you good money." It's like there's 10 of you. Who am I going to be able to pay the least? You know what I mean? So I agree with
Hmm.
you. It's like, yeah, Jose here should be being paid as much as the rest of them, and then now the rest of them can compete to try to get the job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Honestly, I think we should, not to steal from our biggest adversary, but I do think China has done a kind of weirdly, uniquely good job at kind of integrating an economy that can do all the different stuff. They have their low wage workers, and then they have their, and this is also why I'm not a fan of like federal minimum wages because I think it does make this type of competition more difficult. Where it's like maybe the natural wage of like a strawberry farm worker is like $2 or is like $4, which is less than what a native born American might want to make, but more than like an immigrant might want to make. And it helps like not having minimum wage helps sort people more effectively into these categories. And if
yeah,
you're like a barista, of course you're gonna like ask for like, well, I want a $40 minimum wage. It's like, girly, your problem is housing, not money. Okay,
yeah,
you wouldn't need that much money if like we solved the housing problem and like the really that's about it. You wouldn't need that much money if we solved the housing problem. Um, but like you don't minimum wage. This again, this is like you agree with me on this. This is why minimum wages are bad because maybe it is the natural rate to like pay $2 an hour. And if you know what, if Jose, the naturalized citizen, is like, no, I'll work that. I got no problems. You mean it's just good for me? Sure, no problem. Go work on that. Blah blah blah. As long as we've got like whatever other workers protections are like, hey, you can't like hit him with a whip, dude. Um, like or like stuff like that where it's like or maybe you need if you're making him work 30 hours a week or whatever and you can't finagle it to where he's working 29 hours like he has to get some sort of like benefits as like part of his like he's a W-2 worker, he's blah blah blah. You can't bring him in as a contractor, so you don't have to blah like you gotta help out your employees. As long as all that stuff is covered, dude. If you want to pay him $1 an hour and he wants to work for that, I have no problems because to him $1 means way more than it means to Jared, who might alternatively have worked at like a McDonald's, which might pay more because it's technically like a higher skilled job, and how like economics considers it. And so he makes $10 an hour, and Jose makes 4, and then like if just let people naturally sort themselves into stuff. We don't need to do all this like artificial pay people under the table and then have a minimum wage and then blah. You're making it so much more complex than it needs to be. That's my position.
yeah. And on top of that, like if there was no minimum wage, you don't have to pay the immigrants under the table. You'd pay them whatever their
Hmm.
fair share is, and it's still taxed. Government gets that
And
cut.
it's still taxed. And we're making money off them. Actually, we make a ton of money off them anyway because the IRS doesn't give a shit if you're illegal or not. You can also
Hmm.
report criminally obtained income. Like if you rob a bank, you can report that to the IRS and they won't tell the government. I'm 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 not joking. Like if you
Really?
run like a drug empire, you can report this. Oh yeah, because think about it. You're the government. You're going, okay, I can either arrest these people and cut off a stream of income, or I can tax them and have a stream of income. Like like this is a. It feels counterintuitive, but it's true. Illegal immigrants are actually a huge. This is part of why. This is like here's a conspiracy theory. Part of why a lot of the illegal immigrant problem actually goes unsolved is because it's lucrative for the government to keep them illegal
Really?
because
Oh, you know what? You know
you they,
what?
they can collect their capacity to collect benefits is heavily reduced even though some of them might their capacity to do it in general compared to another like a native born American who's on like government assistance because they're super poor or whatever it's much harder for legal immigrants to sort of swing that. You need like forged papers and all this other more difficult stuff. Like that's really difficult. So the barrier to entry to siphon off the government is really high, but the barrier to entry to pay the IRS, it's on the floor. Especially with, unfortunately, they're shutting it down. I don't know why they would shut down free file available forms. That was dumb. It's awesome. Um, but with free file available forms, well, yeah, of course we want to make money off of Jose's $2 an hour. Now he makes $1.80 an hour. Fuck Jose. And so this, like, if you want a conspiracy, the government doesn't solve this problem because it's hugely lucrative, and they actually are. It's a small tax crutch to like they take no money and they put in a ton of money to the system. That's a conspiracy for you.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. Man, I didn't think about that. I didn't think
Maybe we
about
should keep
that.
them legal. Maybe I like exploiting them.
Maybe, yeah. By the way, we should rob banks.
Wait a
Side note.
the most it's like it's the bell curve of racism. It's like there it's like a you've got the on the one end you've got there are illegals and they're
But they're people
illegals
too.
are or it's like illegals are taking our jobs. And then you've got no, they're blah blah blah, and then the bottom is like they're taking our jobs, but they're a huge tax boon
Yeah.
because they don't take any money out of the government, so I can benefit from the cheap labor and not have to pay into it.
Yeah, and on top of that, because they get paid under the table, that money's not taxed. They got more money to spend on other
Mm-hmm.
businesses.
Mm-hmm. Think about it.
Oh my
It's
god.
genius.
Maybe I was wrong.
Fuck,
Maybe I
it's
was wrong.
genius.
Why
Hold
didn't
on.
I think of
Wait,
it?
don't deport them. Wait.
You know, I had this whole argument about anti-immigration, but you know what? Forget it.
I'm with it. Forget. Yeah, that's right. Pick my strawberries. I love how cheap they are. What's that's the off season? Not my problem, Jose. All right.
But
But
no, but
back
some,
to the State of the
back to
Union.
the State of the Union. But something that Trump, not granted, people State of the
Huh?
Union, they're bringing up,
I
they're
mean,
being deported. But Trump State of the Union, something I did think was interesting. Let's see, where did I write that down? Oh yeah, murder and crime is down across the board. I forgot, I didn't write down the numbers. So because I didn't write down the numbers, I didn't fact check the numbers, but we're gonna pretend it's true just for the sake of the argument. Which,
Mhm.
just based on, you know, studies, sources, whatever, it influx of immigration of immigrants do have they do introduce different types of crime for sure. Like now, granted, we're gonna go off topic for a hot second. So my mom had a friend when she came here. She was also from from Asia, and but her husband was white, like he was from here, and I think it was Chicago, and they lit and like they live in Chicago, and then one day the FBI came in and raided them, and her husband got arrested, and it was because he had like a collection of CP. She didn't
Wow.
understand. She didn't understand why that was a problem, because in that country in Asia, that's normal. That's okay. It's considered taboo, but it's not like you're going to jail for it. You know what I mean?
Did
So
he really have CP, or did he figure out something, or did he learn something he wasn't supposed to?
I didn't ask,
Yeah, he
but
seemed like a totally normal guy. Nope, dude. 37 million terabytes of CP.
oh, and we
How did he
lost
have
it
that much
all.
storage? We're not sure, man. Yeah, and we lost it all immediately. It all burned up. We have no clue where it went. Actually, it's just the Epstein files, is what he.
But so now we're gonna go
That's
with.
insane.
I know, right? It's just because it's legal there, taboo but legal. When it comes over here, and I'm not saying that she participated in it, but whatever something that might be
Hmm.
illegal here might be just taboo over there. Besides the point. So we're gonna go with they are crimes are being committed. It's probably not in rich neighborhoods because rich people can afford to pay people to get them out. Besides the point. So whereas a lot of these crimes they're happening in low income neighborhoods, and what's it's kind of like a almost as I don't want to say self fulfilling prophecy, but it's like the people are poor. Immigrants come into poor
Hmm.
areas. They're not going to rich areas. We know
Poor
that.
people keep people poor.
Well, the poor people, and crime gets committed, and because crime gets committed, that usually because of like when you own a business, you gotta have insurance, and
Hmm.
if someone steals, you have to have the money to kind of replace it in a way. So then prices go up,
Hmm.
and when prices go up, poor people stay poor, and then you know what I mean, and it kind of keeps going over and
Yeah.
over and over again. Now, I know we just talked about the low effort labor, just besides the point, but when you have a thing where prices go up because of crime, and because prices are high, people are poor, they're going to commit more crimes because they theoretically can't afford what they want. So then prices go up. Again, self fulfilling prophecy to the point where it's like, well, then the business is usually shut down. Like, I don't know if you noticed this. Now, I'm not saying this is the exact scenario, but the Bears are moving out of Chicago. they're opening up a new stadium, I think, in Indiana.
What?
Yeah, like the Chicago Bears, or is it the Bulls? I think it's the Bears.
It's the Bears.
They're leaving their stadium and they're going to Indiana.
Huh.
Like, here, give me one
I heard
second.
I heard rumors about that, but I didn't know it was a done deal. Thank goodness. Although I will say, here's sort of a fun on the topic of like crime and whatnot. Here's sort of a fun white pill for everybody.
Quick
Okay.
timeout, quick timeout. USA Today, one day ago. Indiana moves forward with deal to bring Chicago Bears to the state. I don't know if that means it's guaranteed, but it's on the table. All right, continue.
See,
Sorry. White pill, white pill.
moving to Gary, Indiana, that would be the funniest possible option. Yeah, guys, Chicago is too dangerous. We're moving to Gary, Indiana.
Oh,
Oof.
it's
Oh
Hammond,
man, out of the frying
Indiana.
pan and into the fire, huh?
Hammond, Indiana.
Um,
But you said white pill. Sorry. Continue.
so here's a fun white pill for everybody, okay? The crime wave that happened in the 90s, basically long gone and over. Even cities like Baltimore are having huge record lows of crime across the board. The US has basically never been a safer country. COVID, we had a little bit of a weird pop-up thing happen, but through the 2010s and even like post like 2023, it's the safest America has ever been.
Mm-hmm.
I know the internet it puts a lot of scary statistics in your face, and you see it, a killing every day. But just because you watch a Chinese man, a different Chinese man rob a different bank every day for a year, that would like pale in comparison to any major crime statistics. Even though like your brain is not trained to interpret them like that,
Yeah.
it's like everything you might see small specific instances here and there, and they'll get like sensationalized by the media. But like believe it or not, Chicago's a pretty safe place to be. Believe it or not, Detroit has actually had like a crazy comeback. Um, it's actually apparently gotten very nice again. Maybe not super nice, but it's like
I was
people
gonna
are
say
like, so
maybe.
I'm talking about it's like a hidden gem now. It's not phenomenal, but it's definitely a lot better than it was. So yeah, white pill. Even though they are correct, crime is down. And if like this trend continues, we should like have much safer like cities and rural areas just in general across the United States. So it is true, crime is down. It's been a huge thing since the night. Now the scary thing is this is actually a huge ticking time bomb because all those people who got 25 to life back in the 90s are going to start getting released here in the next couple of
Ooh.
years. Um, so
We'll see.
this might be a small hiatus before they come back out and get released into the population for the next 10 to 15 to forever years. But as of right
Mm-hmm.
now, things are good. This is correct. Don't let your partisan bias get in the way. It's a little
Yeah.
bit foolish for any particular politician to claim that it was their specific doing, but by and large, the United States is a good place. Cities are safer. Rural country areas are safer. Everywhere across the United States is safer. Baltimore is better than it was by wide margins. There was actually some big thing happening. DC better than it was by wide margins. Detroit better than it was by wide margins. Like everything now is nice. It's great. America's a wonderful place to be. Crime is down. That's your white pill. Everything is actually better. Don't let partisan hackery sort of like turn you off to it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I got you. Now, and I was just bringing up like it was more or
No, no,
less a
I know.
segue to be like crime can affect poor areas in a
Yes,
circle.
I agree.
So, but that was just that. So then, so yeah, that
Poverty is
I can,
cyclical.
yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, but that was what Trump said. But we'll move on from that. Uh,
I also think before we move on from that, I also think it's a very good insight of the like, even if you're an illegal immigrant who's like just a normal, well, maybe not even necessarily illegal, like what we call it, like a misdemeanor immigrant, someone who like missed their amnesty court date.
yeah,
Is it amnesty? Uh,
I think that's right.
what's
Yeah,
I don't think it's amnesty. Yeah, it's
we'll call it a visa, just for
yeah.
intended purposes.
They're seeking their visa. Okay. Um, these sort of impromptu visa people, even if you're like a normal, like you're just here to make a better life for yourself. I do think that like an underrated part of this is if you're coming in with not a lot of money, the only parts of the United States in which you can afford to live are very, very poor, like the more crime-ridden areas, which will then proceed to like cyclically affect you. So even if you're sort of like an upstanding citizen, if you have kids in this environment, it's
They'll
more
be
likely that
affected
your
by
kids
that.
are going to get into crime and cause you like types of issues because they'll go to the schools, they'll go to there'll be a lot of sort of like this is how poverty works, right? It's cyclical. So I do think that's a good insight on your to be like even if like they're coming in even legally in a lot of cases, um, the only places they can afford because we accept give us your what is it? Give us your tired and your poor or whatever. Give us your poor and your weary or whatever the it is on the Eiffel Tower on the
Ooh.
Statue of Liberty. Sorry, they're both French.
Fair.
Um, but even if they do come in through a legal avenue, or they come in through like a less than legal avenue, or they come in like just fully legally sneak over the fence, blah blah blah. No asking for amnesty. I keep saying amnesty. I don't think it's amnesty. Asylum. Uh,
Oh yeah.
even if they don't like seek asylum and they do come in illegally, but they're not someone who's criminally inclined. Other than that, um, they're only going to be in poor areas, so it only takes a generation or two for sort of like the grapes to sour. So I don't know. I thought that was a good insight on your end.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you. But so yeah, that's just the point I was want to make because like they're all they're like don't deport our citizens. Trump's like yeah, no murder and crime's down. It's going down. We all knew that.
We get it
And
down.
it's like, but just thought I'd
Amen.
throw that in there.
Thank goodness.
So another thing that they
We're
kept
all better
bringing
for
up,
it.
and what got me into thinking about this next part was I forgot who the guy was,